Hello, everybody. Welcome to Kevin Plays Disc Golf. Today we have a playthrough and course review from the Pines at Wheelock Park Disc Golf Course in Keene, New Hampshire. My name is Kevin, and I play disc golf. Filming on course for this video was done on October 14th, 2024. The course originally opened in 2023. In most cases, you will be approaching the course from New Hampshire State Route 9. You will want to take the exit for West Street in Keene. There are also brown informational signs for Wheelock Park coming from both directions on Route 9. If you're coming from the west, you'll want to take a left at the off-ramp and head back under Route 9. If you're coming from the east, you'll want to take a right at the end of the off-ramp. This is the opposite direction from the two shopping plazas just off the highway. After a little more than a half mile, the park entrance will be on your right. Ideally, you would like to drive between the pool and the school, continue past the baseball fields and tennis courts, and park in the parking lot past the tennis courts as close to the Horseshoe Club as you can. The disc golf course goes around the dog park. This is a multi-use facility, and though it was not busy on the day I played, I would expect the park to be much busier on nicer days. The disc golf course is largely on its own, but you should yield to people walking on the road that the disc golf course follows. The park is open from dawn to dusk. I played the course in about the worst conditions I would ever play disc golf in, and the course was fine. Aside from the snow in winter making it much more difficult, I don't see there ever being any drastic change in course conditions. There is only one course configuration. It is a beginner course, and all of the advertising for the course is that it was designed as a beginner course. All of the holes are short par 3s. Keeping these expectations in mind will make it a much more pleasant overall experience. Alcohol and tobacco are not allowed in the park, and glass bottles are not allowed either. Though I did not see any trash cans, I am sure that there are trash cans on site, especially during the spring and summer. There are theoretically bathrooms in the park, but I did not see them, though I didn't go looking for them either. At a minimum, I would expect that there is one set of bathrooms near the pool. Dogs are allowed and must be kept on a leash when not in the dog park. The dog park is quite large, so I would encourage you to use it if your dog likes to join you for a round of disc golf. The disc golf course is largely separate from the rest of the park activities, though there is a small access road that people walk on that crosses holes 1 through 5. Just make sure no one is crossing the path when you're about to throw your tee shots, and you should be fine. There is a bike path behind holes 4 and 5, though you have to overthrow the basket significantly in both places to reach the bike path. I'll have my overall review of the course at the end of the video. Be sure to post your comments as to your thoughts of what looks fun and where you think the problem areas are. Now we'll go to the far end of the parking lot at the entrance gate by the Horseshoe Park.
Alright, hello everybody. Here we are at Wheelock Park. It is October 13th. It is cold, rainy, and this is probably about the worst weather conditions I'll play in. There's a light drizzle. It's in the mid 40s. This is a 9-hole course, so it is relatively short, so it shouldn't be too bad. To get here from the Google Maps destination, it's pretty well signed to get into Wheelock Park, and then we pretty much drive straight. We go past there's a couple baseball fields, there's a tennis court, we have another baseball field right there. We are right next to a horse pavilion that has picnic tables and a lean-to, so I may take part of that later to get dry. But to get to the course, there's this gate, which I'm not sure if it's always closed or how often it's going, but to get to the disc golf course, we follow that path. On the drive-in, there were no gates that I had to go around or through. This is listed as a 24-hour park, so if you want to play here at night, I guess that is an option. But to get to the first hole, we go around the gate. Again, I don't know if there's an option for this gate to be open later in the year. Again, I am here in October on a cold, wet, rainy day, so I don't know if it's open earlier in the year. Well, there is a speed limit 10 sign, which does indicate that it probably is open at some point. We take a look to our left. There's a basket there, so we're at least on the right track. This is a multi-use facility. However, it does look like it is fairly well maintained. So there is a playground up here. So there may be an option to park up here at some point. But again, where we're parked, it's not too far. And this is a very short course. See one tee pad right in front of us. All right, well, there's a caution flying disc sign to know we're on the right track. And just to the left of us, that basket was for hole 9. So that basket sends us right out close to where we were. I guess there's not really a good place to park up here. So where we're parked is probably the best. You can check out the Keene Disc Golf Club, which also helps out at Otter Creek. And this is definitely advertised as the beginner course of the area, which, given the length of the course, I would agree that's probably the right thing. Go past that, and right here we have the first tee. Hole 6 is a 130-foot par 3. Slight dogleg right, but we have a pretty good clear shot at it. We go down the road. We have a couple trees to contend with, but from what I'm gathering just by the distances, a lot of these holes are going to be just about distance control. Not an ace run, but a drop in for 2 from there. All right, so we took our drop in 2 now on hole 1. So to get to the second tee from the first basket, we can take a left, go across the road, follow this path, and here we are at the tee for hole 2. Hole 2 is a 169-foot par 3. There is a narrow gap straight ahead. However, the other option is to go to the right of the trees, play it as a dogleg right to left, and sort of skip up towards the basket. It's probably the safest way to get to. There is a little bit of another gap if you want to go left and then hook hard right, but I think that's more out of play. All right, so I'm trying to see if I can play this round entirely with my putter. So I'm not sure I'll do that, but at least so far it's just good practice for short distance stuff. So I ended up having the disc slip out of my hands on my tee shot. So took a 3 here, even with that. You can see around the green here, unless you're way off, there's not really anywhere for it to get lost. Even sort of the brush there is thin and easy to find stuff there. So to get from the basket of 2 to the tee of 3, we can turn around to our left and go back across the road here. But the basket for 3 is right up there, sort of at the end of the path, so you can see where we're going. But if we sort of turn back at about 45-degree angle to the road, and we follow this path here, we end up at the tee pad for hole 3. It looks like a lot of these tees have recently been resurveyed to update the distances on. So the printed sign says 174 feet, but it has handwritten 171-foot par 3. You can't really see the basket from here. It is directly behind a tree that I'll point out. It's kind of the last tree, kind of in the middle on the left. If you can play it sort of going around right to left through the big gap, that's kind of the safer play. Again, with this basket only being 171 feet, it's probably the safer play to go around to the right, maybe get a little bit creative. I think this is the first hole where using my pixel for all the shots is not going to be the option. So I'll see what we can come up with here. All right, that's not anywhere close to what I intended, but I'm still going to be putting for 2 from where I am. Somehow I missed all the trees. Not sure how that happened, but I will take it. All right, here we are up by the basket. We can see that there's water dripping off the basket. Yeah, it's been raining fairly heavily here overnight, and it's sprinkling here now. So it is wet here, but you can see we have all of these trees very closely clustered around the basket. So kind of no matter where you end up, your second shot is going to be, you're going to have trees to contend with. I think if we end up short and to the right, that is just on the other side of this road here. That's the ideal spot to end up. Having pulled my tee shot, even so, I'm 20 feet from the basket, but I have trees. I have a narrow V gap to get through, so we'll see what we can do from here. Well, that's about all I could hope for, is see if I could knife it in through that gap. At least I'll have a drop in for 3 even from there. I'm close enough where I can stretch out around either side. To get from the basket of 3 to the tee of 4, we can go back across the road, directly across the road from the basket, turn around, follow this little marked off path here, and we have the tee pad for hole 4 right in front of us. Hole 4 is a 203-foot par 3, dead straight, but it is a narrow gap, so you do need to, if you can throw a little S-shaped bend here, that's ideal. So the basket we can see from the tee, it is straight ahead, but it is tucked in on the opposite side of the road, just behind that cluster of large pine trees. Nope, I destroyed a tree. Even from there, it's going to be an easy 3. As we get up closer to the basket, just on the other side of the road, there is one narrow gap here to the right going along the road. My second shot ended up back there. Or around the left, which looks like the main gap. This, again, is not a very big gap, but it is close to the basket. There are these other guardian trees here, so even if you're sort of stuck among those, dealing with those, you're going to have some sort of putt to get around them. So we'll see what I can do here for my par putt. That was not good. I'll take a drop in 4 here. Another thing to note at the basket of 4, aside from the tight tree entrance, is that just beyond it we have a bike path. So just be aware that there may be people riding bikes up here, and again, with as short as this hole is, it is possible to get out this far. It's probably only 10 feet past the basket, though it is significantly above the basket, but just be aware of that. So to get from the basket of 4 to the tee of 5, we can take a left, go back across this little road, over towards the dog park, and here directly in front of us, we have the tee pad for hole 5. Hole 5 is a 127-foot par 3, straight ahead. Again, there are a lot of trees to contend with. This is going to be a difficult ace run from here, but again, this is just about distance control, trying to get it short. And if we can get into the trees and get a look at the basket, either around the cluster to the right or around the cluster to the left, we should have ourselves a good look at a birdie from wherever we end up. Even there, I'll have a shot at a birdie from there. Here at the green of hole 5, you can see there are trees scattered about, but as long as you can get it in here, you're going to have some sort of look at the basket. It's going to be a little bit of a stretch either way, so we'll see what I can do for a birdie from here. Off the band, that'll be a drop in for 3 from there. One other thing to note is that the bike trail does go past this, although there are a lot more trees here, and it's further above where the basket is than it is than the proximity of the bike track from hole 4. To get from the basket of 5 to the tee for 6, for the first time this round, we do not cross that little road. We can continue on past the basket, follow this path to the left, go parallel to the bike trail. And again, as this is a new course, was built in 2023, some of this may get more well-defined, but it is, even as it is, it's been pretty easy to follow so far. And here we are at the tee pad for hole 6. Hole 6 is a 160-foot par 3 straight ahead. Again, there are a couple of gaps. The gap that you can see the basket through is fairly narrow, so I think the more standard play is going to be backhand right to left, going sort of over that little log pile there, and there's a bigger gap to hit, but this is a narrow gap. It's basically, if you get through the gap, you'll have a shot at birdie. If you don't get through the gap, you won't. All right, we'll try this and see if I end up going way long here, or if I can actually control the distance with this one. Well, that likely would have been way long and way right had I not gotten a favorable 3 kick. However, I think I've got a shot at a birdie from where I ended up. All right, why don't we see if I can actually make a putt from here? No good, but drop in for 3. Again, I had that little pine tree to contend with, so, but I'll take a drop in for 3. At hole 6 with our back to the tee with the basket, there's that white sign pointing towards the next tee, but I'm not sure how permanent that is. My suspicion is it may not last the winter, but if we take a hard right turn and we follow this small path here, not really even path, more sort of a opening clearing taking the shortest route towards the dog park. And just before we get to the road, here we have the tee pad for hole 7. Hole 7 is a 156-foot par 3, pretty much dead straight. Here, forehand is probably a little bit better of an option just because it opens up the fairway a little bit more, which is good for me. Well, I'll have a short putt for 2 from there and easy drop in 3. Right, I haven't played very many of these real short courses where I can take a putter off the tee. So this is sort of good practice for what disc do I use for approach on some of the bigger courses out there. We'll see what I can do for my second shot here. And this is a solid 35 feet, so I did leave it quite a bit short. Hooray, I finally made a putt. I'll take that for another 2. All right, so at hole 7 with our back to the tee and with the horseshoe park off in the distance, if we take a left, go through this little path here, and just in front of us is the tee pad for hole 8. Something I will point out is that it is very difficult to see the basket from the tee itself. You can't see it, but if you stop short and start looking to the right, you can see it through the trees before you get to the tee pad. Hole 8 is a 162-foot par 3. We're actually about 10 feet to the right of the tee pad because you cannot see the basket from the tee pad. Even from here, it's difficult to see. You can only see half of the basket peeking out from the right side of the line of trees directly in front of us. So this is another one where a forehand shot that goes way over stable at the end is kind of the way to go. It does look like there is a bit of a hill in the background, so even an ace run is not going to go too far past the basket. Probably get caught up in some trees, but it's not going to go way far past. See what I can do from here. Well, that's the path you want to take. I think I ended up a little bit short and right of the basket, but I'm pretty happy with that. I should have a relatively easy putt for 2. All right, so I went through that gap. Somehow I didn't hit anything. Skipped a little bit further right than I would have wanted, but I've got a inside circle 1 putt for 2, so let's see what I can do from here. Flying off the basket, but drop in for 3 is not bad. Squirrel. All right, with our back to the tee, to get from the basket of 8 to the tee for 9, we follow the path past the basket, go over to the horseshoe park. So if you want to throw things that are a little bit heavier at posts from not as far away, horseshoes are an option here. And we take a left, go past this fence, and go over this little gravel pile and take a left. And here we are at the tee pad for hole 9. Hole 9 is a 158-foot par 3 tunnel shot, straight ahead, right between trees. Again, the whole deal is if you can get down close to the basket, miss the trees, go there. It looks like there is some brush long, so again, ace run may end up being a little bit long here, but you should still have a shot. Don't know if you could see the skip from the camera, but that is like just outside edge of the bullseye. A little bit left, a little bit long, but somehow I missed all the trees, so I should have a drop in 2 from there. All right, let's see if I can make another putt here to get a birdie. Again, clear look for an open birdie from 9, so it's really just up to, can I putt today? And the answer is no, I cannot putt today. All right, so here we are at the basket of the last hole on the course for hole 9. If we want to go and play another round, if we take a left and go over to the road and follow that back up to the left, that will take us towards hole 1. Or if we're looking to exit the course, we can go past the basket over here. If we want to stop and take a little snack in the pavilion, the picnic tables are right there. Or if we want to continue on, we can go back here. And there is the gate that we started at, that we parked near.
As this course is new and there are other park improvements going on, there were a few upgrades that were happening. It appears that the tee boxes may have been new late last year, which could be a reason the original sign distances are off. This is entirely a guess, though. The thumbnail is the basket for hole 3, surrounded entirely by trees. There are a lot of trees that guard the baskets on this course, and this is the epitome of that idea. There aren't really any standout holes, but my favorite is hole 8. There are 2 distinct options for how to get to the basket. Both are of equal difficulty, and the only option not available is a direct straight shot at the basket. For a hole on a beginner course, this is very well done. Hole 6 may also have this characteristic if a couple of trees are removed on the left of the fairway. There also aren't really any holes that stand out for being my least favorite either, but if I have to pick one, I'll pick hole 5. It is the shortest hole at 127 feet, and I think pushing the tee pad back to make it 145-ish feet would make the hole better without any real downsides. The first and last holes are critical for introducing the course and leaving the last impression at the end of the round. The first hole does set you up for the round well. The entire course is a pitch and putt that is great for practicing your short game working around trees. The first hole is more open than most of the other holes on the course, but there are still trees that you have to think about on your tee shot. Hole 9 is a good conclusion to the round as well. This tests your precision at the end of the round, and as I showed, there are some accidental bonus gaps that can still get you to the basket. Though it doesn't do anything special to make me want to come back, it does do a good job of having that last impression of the round generalizing what the course as a whole is about. Course navigation on this course is the easiest of any course I have ever played. Though some signage or markers at the basket to point you to the next tee would be helpful, even without them, if you're looking around a little bit, you can see the next tee either as you are playing the prior hole or you can see it from the basket. On most tees, you can see the basket from the tee, and in the cases where it's difficult, you can usually see them from a prior hole. Navigating this course was like following Interstate 80 in Nebraska. You have to actively try to go the wrong way to not follow the course, and even when you do, you can usually see where you're supposed to be. This is ideal for a course designed for beginners. This is also the safest course for disc that I have ever played. Maybe if you go 50 feet long on hole 2, you can get lost in the shrubs. Maybe if you go 30 feet long and 10 feet high on hole 4, it'll get run over by a bicycle. Maybe if you go 60 degrees left of target on the tee of hole 1 and over the fence, it'll get chewed by a dog in the dog park. At most courses, I wouldn't even mention these as possibilities of places or ways to lose a disc. Again, this is a very good thing for a beginner course where the primary purpose is to introduce new people to the world of disc golf. The tee pads are all artificial turf and were put in at some point in the summer or fall of 2024. Given that the holes are all short, they're perfectly adequate for the course. I would like to see some more permanent signs go in and some indication either on the prior tee sign or on the basket to the direction of the next tee, but I believe those are planned to go in 2025. The baskets are all MVP black hole portal targets. They do show up better in person than they do on the video, and though red is not the best color choice for visibility, the holes are short enough where it's not a big deal. Giving an overall course rating is a little bit tricky for this course because it is very dependent on exactly what type of course you're looking to play, and I think this is why it is underrated on UDisc. If you're either looking for a good course to practice your short game on, or introduce new people to disc golf, I would be willing to drive 45 minutes out of my way to play this course for the first time. This is an excellent beginner course, but if you're an intermediate or advanced player looking for a challenge, the nearby Otterbrook disc golf course is much more likely to fit what you're looking for. It is a good warm-up for Otterbrook, though, if you want to get in a little short game practice before playing around there. The only other course within a half hour is the excellent Living Memorial Disc Golf Course in West Brattleboro, Vermont, but that is also a much different experience. If you're looking to try and get someone into the game, I would argue that this is the perfect course layout for someone that has never played before, while still keeping experienced players interested with the variety of tricky ace runs around trees, and there's still room for improvement on the course. I will play this course again, but I'll leave most of my discs in the car. I recently got a Streamline Pilot as an approach putter, and my first thought was that Wheelock Park would be the perfect place to try that out. Like, share, and subscribe, and remember that if you're going to play horseshoes here, take them off the horse first. Check out my other video linked here or the playlist of my disc golf courses of New Hampshire linked in the description.